Hi everyone, I'm Alex Wood from Phantom Media, and once again we're in conversation with different people from the university about the COVID-19 experience. Today I am joined by.
Hi everyone, Dr. Laurice Fretwell. So I'm the course director in the School of Human Sciences and also one of the supervisors at our asymptomatic testing centres.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Louise. Thank you, obviously, for your time. I know that you guys are extremely busy over there, and thank you for the expertise that you get to be given. It's so great that we get to speak to somebody that's just knowledgeable and obviously is in charge, looking after all of us students as you are. So thank you so much for that. Um, Let us first start with what the university has brought out as of today, which is the fact that when our students go back on the 8th of March, they're required to be tested. The government announced it in their latest video, but not a lot of students are aware of it. I wasn't even aware of it, so until yesterday when we had a mini meeting about this. So can you just walk us through exactly what students should do to go back onto campus Monday, the 8th of March?
Yes, of course. So across all of our campuses, we've set up asymptomatic test sites where students can go and get tested for COVID-19 free of charge. And this is really important that we all take part in this because around 1 in 3 people with COVID-19 actually don't display any symptoms at all. So can be walking around quite happily, not knowing that they're actually carrying the virus. So for students that don't have any symptoms and are going onto campus, whether it's for a teaching activity or even just to visit the library, we're encouraging everybody to get tested at one of our test centres at least twice a week, ideally 3 days apart, just so that we can make sure that we're on top of the transmission amongst the student body. By picking up the cases where people aren't displaying any symptoms, it's helping us to break that chain of transmission and really reduce the impact of the virus on ourselves as a university, but also the wider communities that we're living in.
And the more contained we have this, the sooner we can get back to doing really amazing.
Oh, quite. Yes, the sooner we can get on top of this, the sooner we'll all be back to normal and having hopefully a much more normal life again. So it is really important that we all get involved.
Of course. So just to recap, so when people go back to their in-person lectures on Monday, the 8th of March, which is only for practical courses anyway, and then we'll readdress that other courses throughout the course of the year. That's what the University of Derby has officially said. And then 2 tests 3 days apart at any of the asymptomatic sites. Do you know the locations of the different sites for the universities? Because I know the one at Kedleston Road, but or the Kedleston Road based university students.
Yeah, so we have two out at Buxton and Leeds that are for the students at Buxton and then also for our FE students. We have one at Chesterfield, which is where I've been today. And then we also do have one at the Enterprise Centre in Derby that's our largest centre, and that feeds really for the majority of our students, I'd say, those that either live in the city or are going to study at Kedleston Road.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I've been to, and I must say how it actually works and the process of it is very, very simple. But for those that have never had to have it, because either they're international students and didn't get to go home, or those that just didn't, for some reason, have one, can you run us through the process of what it actually looks like when they walk into an asymptomatic testing site and how that essentially works?
Oh, yes, of course. And I think as well, it's really important to recognise that if this is your first test, it's understandable if anybody's feeling a little bit anxious and uncertain, because this is something brand new that we're all having to get used to. So at our test centres, you'll be welcomed on arrival and will be asked to register on the NHS login details. So it's important that you come along with your name, address, postcode, so we can get this set up so your result will be matched and sent through to you using the Test and Trace NHS app. There'll be lots of signage about, so you'll know where to go. We have lots of people to help direct you through. Once it's time, you'll be called into a booth, so they're quite private with boards around, and there'll be a mirror on one side and posters that really explain what you have to do. And one of our test operatives, who is at the other side of the booth behind a screen, so it's very protected, will hand you a swab. And this is what you're going to use to get that sample that we do the test on. So you'll be asked to sanitize your hands quite a few times, just want to make sure it's as safe as possible. Blow your nose, have your mask off. And then I will admit this isn't the most pleasant of things you'll have to go to, but it is again realistically a lot better than the alternative. So first you'll swab both sides of your tonsils with 4 good wipes on each side. If you haven't got tonsils, it's in the area where they usually would be. And again, we've got mirrors to help with that. You can always shine your phone torch to help find where your tonsil area is. After this, that same swab, you'll insert it into one of your nostrils, about 2.5 centimetres up until you feel some resistance, and then twizzle it round about 10 times. So there's lots of good contact to gain. Now, if you feel like you're going to heave or throw up a little bit when you're doing the tonsils, don't worry, it means you're in the right place. If you feel sneezy when you're doing it to the nose, again, this is very usual, so don't worry about any of this. It happens to all of us, and we have regular tests. Once you've got the tonsil and the nose swab, you'll then put this into a tube that's presented to you, hand it back to the operative, and they'll then do the test and process that side of it. So after that, again, you'll sanitize your hands again, hang around a little bit to make sure that the test is working okay, and then you'll be released so you can go and carry on with the rest of your day. All in all, it's really quick, and once you get used to the swabbing process, although it never becomes pleasant, you get very used to what to do, and it's just an extra really good thing to do to make sure that we're all keeping each other safe.
And obviously, the tried and tested method of it is the more tests we have, the more lower numbers we have, the better it looks, and the more that we can all feel safe that us as a student body are relatively COVID free and doing everything correctly, because that's what we all want. We all want to make sure that we are doing everything correctly. The final thing that I want to kind of gauge on today is the final thing that the university has announced to staff and to students today, which will be obviously enrolled on March the 8th, which is obviously Monday, which is that, and this is not just from the University of Derby, I must say, it is also from government guidelines as well. So the government has in placed it, the university has said, yeah, okay, we'll also put this in effect as well in all of our areas. But it necessarily is that from Monday, the 8th of March 2021, all staff, students, and visitors are expected to wear face coverings when on site in all indoor areas. This includes classrooms, offices, the library, lecture theatres, and all common areas. Of course, unless the exemption applies, which obviously is the point for the sunflower lanyards and everything that everybody already knows about, with shops and other common areas that people are exempt from wearing face coverings from. So that is in effect as of Monday. I am correct in saying that, yes.
Yes, that's correct. And I think you've been really right to point out there that this is a new thing that we're doing. And again, it's in response to government guidance. So we're always reacting very rapidly when we get new information. So the government changed their guidance based on scientific evidence, and we then respond following that, just to make sure that we're as up to date with the different safety measures, again, just to make sure that we're all protected. So yes, this is a new thing that's coming in, and I would really encourage everybody to get the masks, wear them at all times, unless you are exempt.
And that's absolutely brilliant. For those that are unsure where they can actually book the asymptomatic testing centres and where they can actually get their tests from, how is it that they go through that process to actually book one?
So I would recommend all students to have a look at your uni mail, because the Union of Students and others will be sending out emails around this. There's also lots of information on the COVID-19 tab in UDO. If you see the address, so it's derby-testing.libcal.com, that's one way you can go on and book a test at all 4 of our sites. If you are concerned about travelling a distance to have a test, please remember that if you have a community testing site that's closer to where you live, you can also use that. So if that's easy for you, please do that instead of deciding not to have a test at all.
That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.